Welcome to the Newsome MMA Podcast, partnered with Heavy Duty Fight Management. I'm your host, Kieran. Tonight I'm joined by Cage Warriors Welterweight fighter Ian Garry, ahead of his fight at Cage Warriors 106 Night of Champions with Tayo Odunjo on June 29th. Ian, how are you doing, man?
How's things, pal? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Cheers, man. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Anytime. I'm doing nothing anyway at the moment, so it's all good.
So, Ian, we're just a few weeks away now from your fight at Cage Warriors 106. How's all the prep going?
Prep's going amazing. The same as every other camp has been hard work, except they've upped the training a hell of a lot because obviously it's a much bigger step. The last fight I had was my professional debut, and it was only on 7 days' notice. So I was preparing myself early camp for a fight that I had taken that was 6-7 weeks away, and I just jumped in because I knew I was ready. Whereas this one now, I broke my hand in the debut, so I've had time to heal, to mend, and now it's just back on the grind, and training's going solid. The club's doing well. All the lads are giving a dig out, so it's going to be a good fight now.
Yeah, nice, man. So like you said, you took that last fight on 7 days' notice for your pro debut, but now you've got a full camp ahead of you. What can fans of yours expect now that you've got a full camp heading into this fight?
Just a better me. I don't really prepare myself for opponents because MMA is a sport where it just takes one little niggle and your opponent's out of the fight. So if I was, for example, to solely just put my mind towards Tayo, and then Tayo pulls out, and my whole camp has been based around him. So what's the point in doing that? I just add a little bit. Me and Chris is a genius, so he'll tell me what he wants me to work on. I'll work on exactly what he wants me to work on, which has mostly been just fine-tuning everything that I'm good at anyway, and just making it better and making a better version of me, which is all I can really hope for, is a better version of me in this fight.
Yeah, now, and so you sort of touched on there on Chris helping you in camp. It's worth mentioning you train at Team KF, over the Irish Sea. You also train with the likes of James Webb, who's the current Cage Warriors middleweight champ, and Chris Fields, like you've previously mentioned, who's a former Cage Warriors middleweight champ. What's it like preparing those guys, and how are those guys helping you in the preparation for this fight?
This camp has been ridiculous. James flies over from England every Tuesday. So he flies over on a Tuesday and then stays over here and then flies back on a Thursday or a Friday. But he comes over and gets about 9 sessions in those days, and they are hard and heavy, and we have a load of big lads coming up. So Chris sorts out, we do a morning session, and we have a load of big lads around mine and James's weight coming up to help us and give us a dig out. So we've got the likes of Chris, myself, James Webb, Carl Pendred, Phil Mulpeter, his younger brother Stu Mulpeter, lads like that coming up. And it's just a solid group of lads putting hard work in, and the only thing that can come from it is everyone benefiting and getting better. And Chris is just so smart with what he's doing. He knows how to run a camp. He knows how to get the best out of lads. So even when me and James are wrecked in the session, he'll still know how to pull that last bit of energy out of us and get the drive for, say, a finish or solidifying a takedown or all that stuff. But training's been going amazing. Myself and James have been putting the hard work in towards the Night of Champions, and it's going to show hopefully on the night when we both get the victory.
And what's it like having that knowledge that Chris can get that little bit extra out of you in your training camp? How much of a mental advantage is that, knowing you've got a trainer like that in your corner?
Oh, well, everybody knows it, and I don't mean that just because Chris is such a good coach. When you listen to the fight, everybody knows it because he's so loud, he's so vocal. You see people ripping him on live streams because he's so loud, saying, "Will he just shut up?" But he's so good, and knowing that I have a coach that thinks the exact same as I do. So when I'm in the ring and I'm thinking I'm just doing me, and I'll think about doing something, but I'll act on it really quickly. So if I think about something and Chris says it, it's like a video game. It's like we're both thinking the same thing, and then once he says it, I'm all go for it. Chris says this. Has said something to me a couple of times, and it's so true. He's been through everything in the sport. He's won. He's lost. He's been through the ups. He's been through the downs. He's been through people dropping out, people missing weight on him, people pulling out the last minute. He's been through everything. So he knows the feelings before, after, during fights. And he knows how to pull that last little bit of energy out of you, because he knows how shit it feels to lose, or how shit it feels to say, I could have done that. I could have done a little bit more, but I didn't have anyone there to pull it out of me. Like, so in that sense, he's amazing. But he's just an amazing coach in general. And every time anyone from the club does an interview like this or talks about him, we all praise him, because he really does the best that he can, and it's clearly working because the club is flying.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. Now, this is just your second pro fight. It's on the biggest Cage Warriors card of the year, possibly Cage Warriors history. Do you think that shows sort of the faith that Cage Warriors have put in you, bearing in mind they only gave you the pro contract after your last fight, and that was on your pro debut?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a stage for me to go out and show off my skill set. I think it's amazing that I get to be on the card. I said it to Ian and Graham when we were over for James's fight in London when he won the title. I said, that's the one I'll be back for because of my hand. I want to get on it. And they were like, well, just heal up, and when it comes around, we'll see what's up. And I got the fight. I'm on it now, and it does put belief in me as well, because it shows that they want me to do well. They want me to succeed. They're putting me on this show, on this platform out there where everyone's going to be watching, because it's the biggest night in probably European mixed martial arts. I mean, 6 title fights, an insane undercard. So, yeah, it's massive for me. It's a massive chance for me to go out there and show people what I'm made of, and what I'm about, and what I am, basically.
Yeah, and this fight's also going to be in front of a huge audience. Obviously, the fight at Liverpool, that was in front of a very lively Liverpool Exhibition Centre. We know the standing tickets for this event have already sold out. When you know you're going into an environment where there's going to be loads of people there, it's probably going to be the biggest audience you've faced thus far in your career. Does that bring any added pressure, any extra nerves? And so how do you cope with that?
No, I'm one of these freaks that I don't really get nervous. I've been training and competing since I've been 6. So going into stadiums and going into places where I'm not familiar with and having to compete in front of an audience that aren't on my side or anything like that is just natural to me. And come here, look, it's just something I'm going to take in my stride anyway. You have to adapt to these things. If I was to go over to the States and fight in the UFC, I wouldn't have experienced anything like that before. So you just have to take it in your stride, and it's part of the process.
Yeah, that's all good to hear, man. It's good to hear that you can sort of push it aside. Now, I've also got to get your thoughts on the welterweight division within Cage Warriors. Obviously, you're quite a young guy. You're only 21 years old. Just 2 of this will only be second fight in the division. But at Cage Warriors 106, there's going to be 2 big welterweight fights. You've got Nicolas Dalby versus Ross Houston for the title, and Alex Lohore versus Aaron Khalid as well. So what do you make of those fights, and who do you think will come out on top of those?
They're 2 savage scrap, 2 high-level MMA fights. Lohore and Dalby, or Lohore and Khalid, that's a great scrap. I don't really know what way to look at it. I mean, obviously Lahore's coming off that the knockout to Nicolas Dalby, so he's coming out there to get himself back in title contention. But I think that I think Khalid or Khalid, I don't want to pronounce his name wrong. I think he could do the upset. I think he could go in there and strangle him unconscious if he plays his cards right. But it's fighting, so one punch could change all that, and Lahore has knockout power. But I think the main event, or the title fight in welterweight between Houston and Dalby, I think all the hype is behind Dalby. I think everyone, you can see he's got it behind him with the Denmark card, and now he's got the title. He's the interim title, and now he's going for the title. Ross Houston's a solid competitor, but I just think that Dalby has too much of a gas tank, that he'll set such a high pace that I think Houston might come out early, blow his load, and then Dalby will finish him in the championship rounds. That's the way I see it going. I think Houston will win kind of maybe rounds 1, 2 or 3, or it'll be 50-50, and then I think come the championship rounds, I think Dalby will just keep that pace and that pressure on him that he'll just suffocate him. I think that's the way I see it going down.
Yeah, so obviously those guys are the sort of big names in the division. How long do you think it's going to take you to get up to the point where people are discussing Ian Garry in the same way they discuss Nicolas Dalby, Alex Lohore, Aaron Khalid, and those sort of guys?
I mean, hopefully as quick as possible. Those lads have put in the hours, they've put in the work, they've had the fights, they've got to where they are just by true time. So I have a bet with James Webb that I'll beat him to the title, and he done it in 2 years. So if I can do it in faster time than I can do it in 16 months or 18 months or whatever it is, I'm happy with that. But like, there's really no rush. I'm 21 years old, as you said. I'm looking to fight as much as possible this year, next year, the year after that. That's the way I am. I want to get in and out of this game quick, make my name, make my legacy, and then leave. I don't want to be one of those lads that overstays my welcome and then ends up with CTE and can't remember my kid's name eventually when I have one. But like, I'd love to get this fight done nice and early, have a nice camp, and go for Liverpool in September. I'd love to do Birmingham in October, and then I assume they might have another one in December. I'd love to get that as well. So I want to go 5-0 this year, and the next year, if I go 2-3-0 and the title shot comes, brilliant. But I'm just going to keep working, take every fight as it comes, don't overlook an opponent, don't overstep my boundaries, and just stay within my line and just keep tunnel vision and go forward until I get that gold. So as quick as possible, hopefully.
That's an awesome mindset you got there, man. And is there any sort of like names that you want to take on while you're in Cage Warriors? Obviously, there's quite a few big names, like Nicolas Dalby, obviously, is a former UFC fighter. Is there any sort of big names you want to take on while you're here?
I mean, I'd fight all of them. That's the thing. Their records are far superior to mine. I have to catch up for them to even want to look at me. But like, I'll just take them all on. I mean, there's some lads out there that I know I could beat now that are at the top of the division. I'm not going to say names because I don't want to disrespect anyone at the moment. When I get myself a bit of a record, maybe I'll talk a bit of shit then. But at the moment, I'm just some bum who's trying to make a name for himself. And once I do, then I'll be able to talk shit and call people out. But no, I think all the lads at that division are solid. And only time will tell who I get put in front of and have to deal with.
Yeah, so moving on from fighters that you want to take on to the fighter you're actually taking on, Cage Warriors 106, Tayo Odunjo. What do you know about him?
I know he's 2-0. I haven't really watched much tape, as I said earlier on. I don't really like to watch fighters. I leave that to Chris. He'll kind of tell me what he wants me to work on, etc. and stuff like that, and what he wants me to put my game around and how he wants me to play, how he wants me to do the camp. But I know he's coming from a good club. He's going to be well prepared. I mean, he's young, he's hungry, he's like myself. I'm expecting him to come out, be the best version of him. I'm going to be the best version of me. And as I said earlier on, there's no point in me going in worrying about my opponent. I go in, I worry about me, and go in there the best I can be, and I'll do the business.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And sort of stylistically, do you think there's anywhere where he's actually going to trouble you, or is it this a case of it's just a mismatch in your favour?
No, if he wants to stand up and have a stand up fight, that's brilliant. If he wants to go to the ground, that's his say. Let's do it. If he wants to go to the ground, I'm all game, but just be careful. That's all I'll say. It's up to him. If he wants to go to the ground, brilliant. If he wants to stand up, even better. I don't mind where we go. I'm ready for anywhere. I mean, you see the people I'm training with, Chris Fields and James Webb, for example. Like, James, you see it in all his fights, what he does in the ground. So I spend more than enough time in the ground to be comfortable with that. And Chris is wiry, active, loves to scramble, loves to fight, loves to stand up and fight, loves to enter a takedown, loves to scramble on the ground, and he just is at a non-stop, relentless pace. So I'm comfortable wherever the fight goes. So we'll see how it goes in the night. No one can tell until then. Okay, man. And sort of without giving too much away, can you give us a prediction of how you think the fight will go? I just think I'm going to go in there and set a pace and basically suffocate him with it. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with it. I have a gas tank unlike anyone else. That's the way I always have been. It's the way I always will be. I work hard to keep myself fit and go in there in the best shape as possible. So I'm just going to go in there and put a pace on him. And look, I hope he can keep the pace, because if he keeps the pace, we're going to have a savage scrap, and that's what I'm all about. But I'm going in there looking for a finish, and if you ask him, he's going to say the same. I'm getting stick in the gym over the last fight for not finishing it, and it's killing me. So you can be damn sure when going into that looking for a finish.
That's awesome to hear, man. And before we sign off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all the lads at Team KF Martial Arts. They've been a massive help to myself, to James, for this camp. They're all fighting now in there's a good group of them heading up to Clan Wars now on the 8th of September. I just want to wish all them the best of luck. A shout out to my sponsors, D-Tron, Chopped, O'Reilly's, and to my strength and conditioning coach, John Carroll from Evolution Fitness. He's been putting a lot of work in with me, so they're just a few quick ones that I can rattle off. But everyone who has a part of my story knows that I'm always thanking them anyway. So if I forget them, I don't mean it.
All right, thank you for your time, Ian, and I'm sure we'll catch you up after your fight.
No problem, man. Thank you. Anytime.